What have we got ourselves into today? Well, it's New Holland. It's pretty new. And it's leaking fuel everywhere. Alright, so we got to get this New Holland tore down. It's leaking fuel, still running fine, but it's leaking a lot of fuel. So with my experience on these, they have a fuel return. That fuel return line, everything's covered up inside here to where we cannot see it. And there is probably mice in here because I found some mouse nest up inside here. So that tells me the mice have made them a nice little nest and started chewing the fuel return lines off, which in turn has fuel all over the side of the engine and on the floor. So we're going to tear into this thing and see if we can get down to the actual fuel lines and get them fixed. But you can see all this stuff is in our way. So we got to get rid of all of this stuff to even see the return lines. Gonna be a pretty good sized job. We got to get it tore down. we finally got down to where we can actually see the mouse nest. And man, what a job. I mean, this is something else to get apart. So you can see the little mouse party home right here, and I can see this injector return line right here. It's fine, but I would say underneath this mouse nest is our chewed up fuel line leaking fuel. Now we got to get this plate off of here, and they put these nice bolts down in here. This one right here is the other one we got to take out. It's down inside there. So we got to get this bolt out. Then around this side, I believe we got to take these Allen head cap screws out. Then we can take this plate off, and hopefully we can see the full extent of the damage. So we'll put us on time lapse again. Keep on stroking. All right, we got this thing where the plate's finally loose. I'm gonna set this camera up here if I can, without falling down. Maybe. No. No. Okay. Oh yeah. They definitely had them a party in here. So I think the best thing to do is we get a vacuum cleaner and we vacuum all this up, and we see if we can peel back the layers and find the wettest spot. Because at this point in the game, we can't fire this tractor up because all the admissions are unhooked. This is a T485. They strongly suggest that if you have any of the wiring to this engine unhooked, especially admissions, do not turn on the key unless you have a New Holland diagnostic tool, which we do not, and I don't think my laptop would hook up to it either. So we're going to take the very safe bet. We're going to peel back these layers, and we're going to see if we can find where it's the most concentrated drip, because sometimes I've seen they're a pinhole and they only leak if they're running. So we're going to replace all of these lines, so it may not be a big a deal, but I'd really like to pinpoint where that leak is coming from first. So we're going to grab the vacuum. We're going to vacuum all this up. All right, we got the handy shop vac. It's going to get loud. I think that was a mouse. Looks a little furry. Oh, look at that. I can smell fuel, that's for sure. Yeah, I found the brake. Hose is clogged up. I think our mouse just sabotaged our vacuum cleaner. But the good news is I have found the hose that is chewed in two. Let me get off of here and we will see what it looks like. So, right down here, that hose is chewed completely in two. So, we definitely found our leak. And it looks like it was just the back two. So this is a, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4-cylinder engine. And that would be between number 3 and number 4. This hose is chewed in two. So I'm gonna get, can't tell. Well, just pulling on it ain't working. Oh. Well, I pulled on it a little too hard, it looks like, because that little plastic piece just broke off. But it looks like there's little clips that goes down the top of these injectors, so that little T-fitting goes to each one. I bet that New Holland sells them as a T. There you go. You can actually see that hole now, right there. Okay, well that's all for tonight. All right, we got this line out. You see that little bitty pinhole? That's where the mice chewed through there. So we got to get this line set up right here, and we'll be back in business and get it all back together. You've seen what it took to get this thing apart, and there was a lot. We got all that cleaned out. We got the returns capped off so there's no dirt or anything to get down in there. But we got it, we found the problem, and we get the parts. We'll be ready to rock and roll. I wanted to wait until I get it apart because there was I guess some different series of lines maybe or something like that, so I felt better about taking it in there and actually giving the line to them and say this is what we need. We will get back on this job as soon as we have parts to put it back together. Okay, we got our parts in. They came in pretty quick. We were looking at this though. This is the whole line set like we were hoping. Check this out. So this is everything to replace this guy. They come with their fittings and everything, so that's perfect. And we disconnected this line right here, which it doesn't look like they want you to disconnect it there because it has this long hose. So we were looking over this tractor on where that line goes from there, and it goes way down inside there, which we can't see from up top. Then we can't really see where it goes from there. It looks like it's behind this filter, so we're gonna have to take that filter off, and hopefully it's right here where we can see it. But I can kind of see with a flashlight, I can kind of see there's the, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but yeah, right there where my flashlight's hitting, that line is the same type line as up there. So maybe that line's going back through here. We get this set of filters off, we'll be able to tell hopefully where that line's at, and then we can hook onto it with some tape and pull our new line down. So we're going to see what we have to do here. First we're going to get these filters off and see what we can do. Okay, after finally getting both the filters unscrewed, they do not leave hardly any room to do so. We finally found our line. It's going right here through these two brackets, and it goes right down on top of there. So we can go ahead and get this disconnected here, pull these two brackets off, pull our new hose down, and like I said, we're going to take electrical tape and tape it onto this end and pull that hose down. That way we don't have to fish it and get dirt in it and everything else. So that's where we're at now. All right, a few words of advice here. We ran into one other problem. So we had tracked that line down to the top of this piece here, which little did we know until we heard the snap, this piece is plastic and we did not order this piece. So I want to get this tractor back to this gentleman today, and without ordering this, it's not going to happen, or at least that's the way it looked at first. So we started exploring some other options. This here is a check valve that is in line with this. Now, I don't want to put two check valves in it. My first idea was to take and drill this guy out and put a new piece in it, but there's a parting line right here and there's not much room to drill and tap or do anything else, and we could risk tearing this up and have to order one regardless. So I thought, okay, I really just need a new one of these barbs that would fit on this somehow, some way. So we actually took this old check valve, and you can see I've cut it apart. I've cut it in two pieces, little check balls around here somewhere. And it just so happens that you can actually, with this apart, slide this right over the top of that. Now, of course, we're going to do more than just sit it on there. We're going to clean this up really good and glue that on top of it and push it down tight, and we should be back in business to get this back together. So be extremely careful, because this is on the side of the engine. I'll show you where this is at. Get my flashlight here. In my experience is plastic, you put it next to a hot engine, right there is where that goes. So that hot plastic, or that plastic, heats up and cools down repeatedly right here in this engine area. It's destined to get brittle. It's easy to pop apart too. You just got these two squeeze lock fittings, two bolts, and you got it out. So we're going to take some really good adhesive, clean these pieces up, and we're going to put this piece right on top of this block. And it almost, you know, it fits on there really tight. When you push it down, it stays there on its own, and you got to really spin it to get it off. So this is going to work great. There's no real pressure to this. It's just a return fuel system. It's just returning back to the tank. So we get this fixed up, get this thing back together, get it back to the customer. All right, we're back in business. First, I use starting fluid. Starting fluid's pretty easy on plastic rather than brake parts cleaner or contact cleaner or anything like that. That can make plastic brittle, so I don't like using that on any plastic products for cleaning. 5-minute epoxy mixed up a little bit, and I put it around the I pressed it down and then put it around the outside circumference. That way there's no way that I can get anything inside this hole and plug that up, because that would cause some issues. So we're waiting on this to dry. 5 minutes, we'll be ready. I went ahead and got this hose ready to put down through there. A little bit of electrical tape on the end, that way no dirt can get inside here. You know, it's a high pressure fuel system. You don't want any contaminants in there. So we're going to go ahead and press this down, then push these down on top of the injectors and put our clips back in, and then we can put this back together and then start the reassembly process, which takes quite some time. All right, we finally got the filters and everything back on here. The line ran and hooked up. I think that's going to work perfect the way we had to repair that broken plastic. We're ready to reassemble here. I found it was much easier to put these on the injectors before moving a bunch of stuff around and getting dirt everywhere. I had these caps, so I removed the caps one at a time, popped the lines on, and I do recommend a really good pair of needle nose that grip really well, because those clips, you really got to hang on to them and direct them in place, and it can be a real pain in the butt if you got a flimsy set or a set that don't have good teeth on it. But we went ahead and hooked all the return lines up, ran our line down, got it hooked up, got our filters back on. The bleed screw, we loosened it up, primed the system up, so we're ready to rock and roll. Just got the long process of putting this thing back together now, so stay with us. mice.